the night of the crack, crumbling, tumbling into the black. Night of the crack, night of the crack. This is the night that the crack comes back. Night of the crack, night of the crack, crumbling, tumbling into the black. Night of the crack, night of the crack. This is the night that the crack comes back. Night of the crack, night of the crack, crumbling, tumbling into the black. Woo! Oh, hey, greetings, programs. It's Hankerin here. Welcome back to Drunkards and Dragons. How to play D&D like a big old badass. That's what you want to do. That's what I want to do. That's what we're going to do together live. Because, yeah. So, welcome, everybody. A couple of you guys have been kicking it in the chat room, waiting to get things started. So, I got the setup ready to go. And everything, except for my journal and some dice and some other little doodads, everything you need to run this one-shot, one-night fun fest for your group is kind of right here in front of me. There's like two little pieces of foam off camera, but real easy to prepare for. So while a couple more people show up for Night of the Crack, Night of the Crack, this is the night that the crack comes back. I'm going to have a little Tullamore do. You know, the Spartan training is underway. You know, you don't want to be looking soft at Ren Fair in the middle of summer, right? So on about February, it's time to start training. And training means less beer, more hard alcohol. So we're going to have some Tullamore do. Oh, man, it tastes like that that peasant that was strangely preserved in black peat. You can taste that. Maybe his nickname should be Black Pete. Oh, that's good. So Bung Wires and Eric and old River Tyne, you know, raise a glass with me if you will. I don't know how many of us are in here. I can never see that statistic on my screen. So if you see me looking down here, that's where I've got my chat window so I can see what you guys are saying. And what the devil? My mind drawn into the orange sphere. No, actually, this is my new streaming microphone. So I hope you guys are reaping the auditory benefits of the improved equipment. One funny anecdote on the improved equipment note. I've said a few times on a couple different shows how, you know, thanks everybody for all the support on YouTube. And because of YouTube, I got this thing over here and I got this other thing over here. Well, I figured out like yesterday, I actually never got one red dime from, from fucking YouTube because I think there's like $100 threshold per month. So I think my best month for 30-day period has been like $88, just for full transparency here. So, hey, click support this channel somewhere on this page and throw $1 in the monkey bucket, will you? And let me see if I can. It's the amount sitting in my YouTube account is like $400 and some. So I want that $400 so I can buy more cool shit so we can have more fun. This Tullamore do ain't free. Yo! So tip a sucker, will you? You know, this didgeridoo ain't going to play itself. All right, here's to you. So thanks, everybody, in advance for your support. John Reeves, hey, glad to hear it, man. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, Amana Martha's awesome. All right. What is tonight all about? In the history of Drunkards and Dragons, I have never brought up anything about doing one-shots. Now, for me, one-shots are generally a sort of a symptom of a long-running group, right? So it's like you're playing this saga with all the freaking king has got the treachery and there's the dragon and you're level 12 and like we've been playing for 4 years. Dear God, someone shoot me in the face. I can't go on. But instead of anybody getting shot in the face, you're like, you know what we should do? Just like a funny, fun one-shot. And then your DM basically poops his pants. Writing good, compelling one-shots is not as easy as it might sound. Now, if you do a murder hobo type group, which is just, you know, kind of homeless sadists wandering the countryside, killing whoever they find, then a one-shot probably is not going to be that difficult. But if you like a little bit of anecdotal humor and a little bit of closure and some nice kind of rounded story themes and stuff like that, doing a one-off that's entertaining and timely can be difficult. And by timely, I mean you really want a dope game session to wrap up in 4 hours, right? Now, I know a lot of you guys out there play a lot longer. Some people play shorter and stuff like that. But I actually think 4 hours is a really good marker just for energy level. Now, sometimes, you know, you can take an hour-long break and like drink a bunch of crazy stuff and like get all hopped up on Red Bull and come back and put in another 4 hours. Hell yeah. Love doing that stuff. We did a great 10-hour session on the 4th of July. It was a blast. But generally, especially if everybody's working and they have to drive to get your house and all that banal reality crap, 4 hours is about when their attention span will start to kind of, you know, just ramp off a little bit. And that's when you don't want to push. You just want the best of the best because you've been playing this for years, right? Now, if you're a beginner, you have a different reason for cutting it off for 4 hours. It's like, man, you're going to have a hell of a time coming up with more than 4 hours of good, solid material. It's tough, man. You're going to be off in La La Land by hour 7. Now, that might be the beauty of it. Sometimes La La Land is where the magic happens. But all right, so there it is. So everything you're going to see tonight, Night of the Crack, as it's called, with my group, we created the characters and ran the whole thing in about 3 hours, 45 minutes, 3 hours, and 3.5 hours, something like that. So everybody came over at 5 and we kind of sat around and had some beer and ate some snacks. We drank our snacks. That's how hardcore I train. I drink my snacks. So we hung out a little bit and then we finished like at 9 o'clock. So it was great. And then we could kind of kick it for a while and we weren't all, you know, blown out and toasted. All right, so what is Night of the Crack? Let's get right into it. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Sorry if I don't look down here at the chat room often enough, but you guys can heckle one another for me. Night of the Crack is part of what you probably noticed me mention on Facebook for the very first time, by the way. This has been a top secret project up till now. It is our brand new all custom ground up RPG called Mokhtar. Yep, it's called freaking Mokhtar. That is the name of the game, the world, and the RPG that we're building. Night of the Crack was originally designed as an experimental play on our latest rule build and character build and combat build of the game, which me and Cyrus Draken are building. And we really hit some kind of a harmonic note that the game was really ready to play. And this is, if you guys are out there experimenting with Dungeon World, that's a big part of where it began, is that we've been working on this homebrew thing since 2011, but we were missing some simplification steps that just weren't happening. And then when, you know, put in that year of research on Dungeon World and have, you know, been answering a lot of questions and working with a lot of people to have fun with Dungeon World and what does this mean? How do you do this part? How does this part work? Some elements of our game started to click, and then when I got that Mouse Guard box set, oh my God, why am I so late to the party on Mouse Guard? All right, I'm getting in the weeds. I'm doing it again. Ian, what's up? Welcome to the channel, man. Let's get back to Night of the Crack. Now, we did do it for the Mokhtar RPG, but you guys can plug this into anything. So I'm not going to talk system in any of these room designs or any of the encounter designs or the action. So what I want you to take away from tonight is the sequence of events and exactly where all the cool shit happens. Now, when you work out of a journal like I do, you have very little room to write your notes for a night of gameplay. And if you're going to write one thing down, I would say it's, when does the cool shit happen? Okay, you're going to have 3 hours of gameplay. You're going to have 5 rooms, whatever. But what's the really cool shit? Like, what do you really know needs to be cool? And then another critical one I write down is like, really brief stat blocks on bad guys, like their attack, damage, and hit points. That's it. And then 5 little bullet points. That's it. That's all I get. Everything else is in my mind from memorization and a couple practice sessions, maybe, you know, driving in the car, commuting, and I'm like dungeon mastering for nobody. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. Okay, maybe I have like a sort of a behavioral tick or or dysfunction of some kind, but I do that. All right, I like dungeon master in the car for space, for silence, and it helps me develop what concepts are working, what sound weak, and I do accents. And I am the Goblin Lord of Balawag. Welcome to Balawag, land of crumbling dirt. Anyway, welcome to Night of the Crack. Let's get right into it. Enough preamble. That was a solid 5 minutes of walking around in the weeds, getting you guys ready for what the real room is and what you can take into your game. Oh, and a couple announcements real quick. One, the Daring and the Doomed is arriving on Tuesday. We're going to have $10,000 worth of card games on our driveway on Tuesday morning. Booyah! So we got all the packing supplies, we got all the addresses, and we're ready to ship everybody's games next week. So you're going to get your shit, and it's going to be dope. Were there other announcements? Oh, yeah. The novel, Mud and Horn, Sword and Sparrow. A bunch of people rolled up and bought that. And they're reading it right now and sending me some fun notes about, you know, I'm evil and how could you do that? And that was great and stuff like that. Thank you, everybody, for the feedback. I love to hear people reading the novel. It's really great. Just the beginning of a massive journey. Oh. Okay, that was like the monetization section. Let's get to the actual content, all right? Night of the Crack, Night of the Crack, the night that the crack comes back. It's Night of the Crack, Night of the Crack, crumbling, tumbling into the black. We open our adventure after you need your players to make some goblin PCs for starters. Okay, just don't worry about the details. Make some simple goblin PCs. Make sure you got a heal in there. Make sure you got at least one guy with a bow. You know what I mean? But they're goblins. They're simple. They're like level 3 goblins. It's just no big deal. There's no backstory. You're a damn goblin. You came out of like a weird lumpy-headed egg. You popped out and you started partying because you're a goblin, because that's how you roll and you don't brush your teeth. Yeah. All right. The adventure opens on the scene before you. There's a clearing in the woods where coonkin and goblins are known to gather. Coonkin are kind of like otter people. They hang out with goblins sometimes. Goblins aren't all evil, you know. Some of them are good guys. They're just driven to difficult situations. The opening in the forest hosts a large bonfire in its center, and then a big group of goblins and coonkin are all dancing around it in a circle. And nearby, there's a wagon shown here with a little lantern on it. It's the middle of the night, and all the goblins are jumping up and down, chanting, Night of the Crack, Night of the Crack. This is the night that the crack comes back. Yeah! And then they all drink, which we will. Have your Gerblinski. Is that what goblin whiskey is called? Ah, oh, God. Whew, you can really taste the Tullamore. They're all celebrating. They're running in circles like crazy Picts from Conan. But there's this one, I don't know if you can see it. There's one old, decrepit goblin. And he's working his way through the partying crowd toward the wagon. And he's shaking his head. Remember, your player characters, your PCs are right here in the party. Night of the Crack, Night of the Crack. Yeah. They notice this old goblin walk over to the wagon. And he's shaking his head, looking at the crowd. He says, you fools. This is nothing to celebrate. We're all doomed. Doomed, I tell you. And all the goblins say, ah, you stupid old goblin. What are you, 4 years old? You're too old to party. Night of the Crack is awesome. The heroes of the crack. Yeah. And everybody raises a great cheer for that comment. Now, your players are allowed to take action, and you let the game begin. Inevitably, someone's going to say, what the hell's going on? And they'll want to like make a sort of perception or knowledge check with one of the other goblins. Like, hey, do you know what this crap is all about? The only clues you want to give them is that Night of the Crack is a night heralded for months before it happens as a great night of heroism. But that's about it. And so we party. We party because heroes will be made. And it's just like, what? What is this? What is this crack stuff? If somebody else comes over and talks to the old decrepit guy, he says the opposite. He's like, these are all crazy, foolish young goblins. The crack will be the death of us. And he's trying to figure out how to get this wagon moving. But it's a goblin-pulled wagon. It doesn't have like bridle on it or reins. And it has these two huge timbers on the front. And it's just too heavy. And the whole thing's just leaning wrong. And he can't move the damn thing. But he's trying. He's like going to pop a vein. Okay? So this is the situation the players are confronted with. So some of them are just going to say, screw it, and start drinking, right? And others are going to take a look around. So you got like another perception knowledge type check. So let's say this guy comes over here, and you can reveal to him supplies. So the goblins have all of their supplies unloaded from the wagon. And this includes beer, food, some bow and arrows, spears, swords. And this is a great opportunity if you have a player who's really clever with hoarding weapons and equipment and using them as tools. This is a great chance to gear him up. So give him a crowbar, give him some rope, give him a couple torches, give him a flask of oil, all that good stuff. it's way more fun to do this step right here than it is with like, how much starting gold do I have? Okay, I'll buy a rope. No, that sucks. This is way more fun. So a guy comes over, we had one guy hide in the gear because there's this rumbling. The rumbling approaches through the forest. What the hell is that? All the goblins start looking at each other. Yes, it's coming. The crack. And at that moment, you reveal the crack. Yes, you are a masterful Dungeons and Dragons crafter with 3D terrain, and you have made a crack. Douche, there it is. The crack shatters the bedrock into the clearing in the forest. Boom, right next to the supplies. Actually, one backpack filled with delicious goblin beer tumbles down into the abyss, no, slipping just away from the fingers of the searcher. And it is on now. So if you hadn't already rolled initiative, freaking do it, because boom, the crack smashes into the clearing and all hell breaks loose. So a couple of the goblins panic and start running toward the crack to look into it with like a freakish fascination. Two others come forward. This is a player character. This guy comes out of his hidey hole. This guy maybe is the smartest one. And he's like, we got to get on that freaking wagon, and there's no chance. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Things happen. Trees are falling over. Oh, my God. There's a huge earthquake happening as the crack spreads slightly. But the crack has hit like a hard point in the bedrock, and it's straining right now. This is your chance to roll 1d4. Boop, you roll your 1d4. In that many rounds, the crack is going to tear this place to shreds. So the players have that many rounds to escape the crack, and this is the first super deadly encounter of the night. Now, I'm not going to go through every single step with you, but basically the wagon needs to have X amount of weight in the back to lift up the timbers on the front to balance it, and then it can be easily rolled. So you either need to put people or supplies into the wagon. In the case of my group, they all piled into the back, but a couple of them got up front. The wagon counterbalanced and became free rolling, and then strength checks and pull the wagon through the woods. So it began. We had two goblins in the process of this, as everybody crowded toward the wagon, tumble into the fucking crack to their dooms as the crack expanded to about here. And the remaining gear that wasn't looted tumbled into the crack and was annihilated. These two goblins already dead. And you're going to see this is a deadly night. Like everything dies. Okay, so that is your timer dice. And if they've managed to flee on the wagon before your timer dice expires, just unleash the crack anyway. The best moment is when the crack devours this giant bonfire and this spray of sparks goes into the woods and the trees catch on fire. And as they roll off in their wagon, they look back and their clearing is burning. The crack is ripping apart. The trees are falling into the crack. Holy crap. That's your first encounter of the night. That's where you set your tone. That's where you let everybody in the group know, like, do not mess around. You will die. So if they didn't figure out how to get the wagon to freaking move, they either just need to run on foot, which would be fine, or run on foot. But if they just camp on the wagon, your timer runs out. The crack needs to devour them, and it needs to start killing NPCs. And if they're that bad, I would consider killing them all and starting with a different beginning. Most players will not be that stupid. So great. They've escaped the first room of the crack. So there's your first room design for Night of the Crack. So now we kind of reboot, right? You guys all know about this. We call it Pac-Manning in our group. Pac-Manning is where the terrain kind of goes like this, and like you go in one end and pop out the other. All right, so in the next area, things get awesome. Where's all my stuff? Here we go. So you, being cool, have done a bunch of prep ahead of time, and by a bunch, I mean about 15, 20 minutes. The players appear right over here on this end. Whoop, there they are. And they're facing this sort of another clearing. They barely manage to escape the crack, and boop, I roll another 1d4. In that 1d4, the crack shows up again. Now remember, you might think like, dude, you're so evil. But 4 rounds, if you roll maximum, is a lot of gameplay. 2 is a great amount. It's really a good encounter is 2 to 3 rounds. So don't worry, it's not crazy. All right, here in this next clearing, they burst through the trees and see, yes, you're not hallucinating. They see 4 ridable dinosaurs. Tending these 4 dinosaurs are 2 goblin equestrians, if you will, who are panicking and looking all around and preparing the dinosaurs to flee because they hear the crack a-coming. Pow! Right here, roll initiative. So this is a great way to let your players know, like, we're not mucking around with a bunch of hooey time. The minute you enter a room, boop, roll initiative, and we're going to start counting down the crack timer. So they just get this feeling of like, dear Lord. So here are the dinos. And just don't mind me. I'm just going to keep on drinking whiskey. I'm going to put this whiskey in my crack, my face crack. All right. They come out in the clearing. 4 ridable dinosaurs. 3 of them have saddles, for crying out loud. I mean, that's good dino riding when you got a dino saddle on there. The players know that on foot, they probably don't have a chance of outrunning the crack. I mean, this thing is huge. It's like miles long. It's massive. I think they get the clue here. Ride the damn dinosaurs and get the frick out of here. But you've got these 2 goblins to deal with. Whoop! You've got a nice little mini encounter. So this is kind of punching. There's some stabbing. A guy gets a bow and arrow in the face. This guy manages to get on. And this is what happened in our group. One of them managed to get on and ride off, almost off the board, before this guy was like mounting and then kind of slid off to make the bow shot. Pops this guy with the bow and eliminates him. The other guys are mounting the dinosaurs. They kind of run out of saddled dinosaurs. And this is on purpose, by the way. And they're forced to ride this sort of big derpy looking dinosaur who's really slow. Now, the dynamic I wanted to create here is there's not enough fast dinosaurs for everybody. And it makes it interesting. So either somebody's got to run, they have to try to double up and make some dex checks not to fall off and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of fun negotiating that can happen in the 1 to 4 rounds that this is going to unfold. Now, in our group, the coolest possible outcome happened, which is this dinosaur ran off after its rider was killed. He's gone. He's gone. They had 2 fast, 1 slow, and 4 players. 4 players. So just like I have it laid out here. Then they had the brilliant idea to tie the 2 fast ones onto rope onto the slow one like a freaking pod racer. So like this. Then the player steering the slow one was steering the dinosaur pod racer. And when they got the ropes just right with a series of checks, it like kicked in and they went like 75 miles an hour through the forest. Like, woo! and end encounter. So even though here on the channel, that was, what, 10 minutes of talk? That encounter was really fun. That was maybe half an hour or more to get the dinos going. Okay, then we Pac-Man off the board, right? On to the next board. So I hope everybody's keeping up right now. I'm moving pretty quick, but I just wanted to show you how simple the elements are. All right, next up we have this. And we're going to Pac-Man into the opposite end of the board right now, just so you can see. This room I call the edge. And not like the guy in YouTube, because there's no sock hat in this encounter. All right. So the dinos with the players on the pod racers come blasting through the forest, fleeing the crack. They reach the edge of this massive fissure, and out here is just the abyss, a huge gulf like the Grand Canyon. Down at the bottom, lava. So the crack is not the only crack. The whole surface is cracking and calving and crumbling, and they come blasting out of the woods at full speed, and boom, I roll initiative on them before they really even know what's happening, and they're going at speed over the edge. So whoever wins initiative, he's got to make his move now. So basically what happened is we had some tumbling here, a barely save. We had this dino shoot off into the abyss. That was tears right there. One guy manages to jump off. He manages to jump. This big dumb dino is slow enough to save it. This guy tumbles off into the abyss. And I think another player barely made it. And then they realize, what are we doing? So the first part of the encounter, and this is a great way to spring stuff on your players. The first part of the encounter is just to survive the beginning. So you can have the beginning of an encounter being winning initiative is the worst thing that can happen because you're the first person who has to like go, whoa, you know, and so on. If you're the last guy in the initiative order, you can use everyone else's potential success, you hope, to help you not fall in the pit, right? The old goblin is not with the party. He was my favorite NPC. No, he was definitely engulfed with the remnants of the wagon. So his portent of doom came true. I mean, you got to realize these rooms are super deadly, like NPCs don't stand a chance. So the edge, what the hell are we doing on the edge? I mean, I made the save, I survived, but the crack is coming, 1d4, whoop, right? So you got 3 rounds before total annihilation. What are we doing? And this was one of the most beautiful moments for my group. We had 2 players basically just hit vapor lock. They're just like, we're on the edge of a cliff. There's no going back because of the crack. There's no going forward without just leaping into the lava like 5 miles down. Like, what? I hold action, which is D&D for I have no idea what to do. But then we had a great player move, and I love when this stuff happens. She had a falcon servant, sent the falcon out just to fly out over the gulf and survey the face of the cave, or of the, oh, there's a spoiler, of the cliff. So the falcon returns, lands on her arm, and reports back in, which means there's a cave in the side of the cliff. So if you guys look in my terrain right here, I've got a little cave right here. And players can see that. So if they want to use board knowledge and board visibility to intuit that that's a cave, I allow that in my game. I mean, that's why I make the terrain as specific as I do. But in this case, the falcon got the work done, and it was awesome. She was also our new player, so it was great to have her shine like that. So now it's just a matter of getting around this little underhang, which is like not safe looking, to climb into the little hole. And the little hole was only big enough for one person, so you couldn't help each other into it. Everybody had to. So it's getting hairy. We had some people tumbling, crumbling. We had a grapple shot go across with a roped arrow. People were using that. And we had one guy who's Florian from our D&D 5th edition campaign, but he tried like a swinging jump. Fingers came off the rope, fell into the crack, dropped. Then they looked down thinking he was dead, and they saw him hit some crack of rock way down below and slide invisible into the rock face. So he was somewhere, just not sure where. And this is part of the death rule that you're going to see us rolling out really soon. We're still working on it, but it's great. It's much different than D&D death. It's basically you never truly die until you're left behind. And it's an awesome rule, and it just works great. But you still freaking die. So he tumbled off and died. Eventually, they all found their way around, and in a truly, truly tear-jerking moment, this funny, sort of slow, derpy, friendly dinosaur just couldn't fit in the little cavern opening. And he tried and he tried and he scrambled, and they were pulling on his head, and he tumbled ever so slowly, like Hans Gruber, down into the lava chasm and met his fate. So, whew, it's a heavy business. It's a heavy, heavy, heavy business. All right. So next, they find themselves in a very narrow corridor. Boop, there you go. 2 pieces of terrain, you got your narrow corridor. Remember, there's only 3 characters now because we've got a dead man right over here. Okay, now for the moment, they've escaped the crack. They're down inside the bedrock. More like inside the mantle, actually. R.I.P. Hans Gruber. I live in Michigan. You guys are crazy. Okay, so they're down now in this narrow cavern, and they're entering deep into the bedrock. You got to realize they still have no idea what the hell they're doing. They're just going on tabletop game meta instinct, which is like, go, go, forward, forward. There's bound to be content, right? So they're moving down this narrow corridor here, and they see some glowing energy in the near distance. I think we had a little bit of tumbling rocks here and there, so you can make a quick agility or dexterity save to dodge some falling rocks and stuff like that. Just to keep it interesting while they're moving down the tunnel. But basically, they come into a room with a gigantic portal. Now, here would be a great time to use one of your super cool Iron Kingdoms minis, or, maybe you have, I don't know, some Warhammer stuff, something big and awesome for a rune golem who's guarding this room. But I didn't have that. I have this. There you go. That's a rune golem. He's standing right in front of the portal, and I just got a Pathfinder mini base, and he sticks right in there. So this is a way to make special minis out of your 3x5 cards. And you know what's weird? Players love this stuff. This is like low res, 5 minutes before everyone showed up, Sharpie drawing on 3x5 cards. But people really like it because it's yours. It's for your group, and it's custom made, and it feels like, yeah, it's artisanal. Anyway, so I have my rune golem, right? He's like this mechanical steel and stone warrior who's just guarding this portal. Now, everybody at this moment has to take a breather and say, what the hell's going on? So we got some knowledge checks. People are always doing this stuff with stonework. Do I recognize this stonework? And I'm like, dude, you popped out of an egg like a month ago. So they try to figure out what's going on. This guy definitely has the same etchings and the same design as the portal. He's part of it. He is the guardian. This thing has, of course, commensurate swirling energy inside of here. And one of them, with a really high knowledge roll, seems to remember hearing something about how dwarves, the deep, deep dwarves, use a series of portals to move around in the mantle. Instead of carving endless tunnels, they use these portals. So this probably goes to another portal somewhere. They decide there's no going back. And as they start to think about that, they look back, and this is where this fun little card comes into play. So not only is the crack the imminent force, I made this card. This is basically a black cloud of smoke, swords, spears, and screaming skeletons. This substance is pouring out of the crack as it widens and as this calamity unfolds. I call it the Matmos. So if you go watch Barbarella, you can get a sense for what the Matmos is. But anyways, the Matmos goes right here, and boosh, I roll my 1d4, and in that much time, this black death smoke is going to fill this chamber. So we got to keep this timer going, man. This is a one-shot. The players jump out. Oh, my God, we got to get to the portal. But as soon as they approach the portal, the rune golem starts fighting, and then somebody's like, hey, whoa, there's a corpse over there. Let's get the corpse. Okay, revived. Hey, sweet, get in the battle. Whoa, I rolled a crit on a crazy spell. Nice job. Rune golem down. Toast. It's going to be cooler and more detailed than that. Then they go up and everybody makes basically a bunch of courage checks. But then they remember that the Matmos is coming right down this narrow corridor and this coiling mass of death, smoke, and spears, like in the fog at the end when all those hands are coming out. It's like, oh my God, this is messed up. So they jump into the portal. And you're done with this room. So what was that room? What, you call that a room design? Oh, man, it works great. You just give them one enemy, a clear goal, and a little bit of like WTF, and there's a lot of fun involved. All right, final room. The final room is called the engine. Whoa. All right, we got this. So I got to switch on my engine here. I think that's it. There you go, the engine. So, oh wait, the block. That's right. Boop. All right, this is the engine. So the characters enter, appearing through a portal right here. Bloop. Oh man, teleporting's crazy. And we enter the final room of the night. So I hope everybody's with me so far. I know I'm just trucking through this. There's a rub. I don't have portable awesome. Okay. Well, with the drawability stuff, if you have a sense for what you want to do ahead of time, you can do Google searches on these different little pieces that I'm using cards for and make your own little cards if that's easier. Or you can use 3D terrain. Whatever you got, man. It don't matter. Just use this. It's all good. The key is to get what pushes the action. Even if you change all the details of these rooms, the fun is pushing this action. It's crazy to see players respond to such tight limits. And that's what makes a good one-shot. All right, the engine. So they come into this huge room that's been carved by ancient dwarves. And there's this giant engine in the far end here. And it's just chugging. And it actually looks a little unstable. The thing is just working so damn hard. Behind it, there's a stone wall, like here. And above this stone wall, there's sort of an atrium or a gap in the wall. And through this gap, they can see this gigantic screw. And the screw is like the size of the Empire State Building, slowly turning. And as they look up and make some knowledge checks and begin to scatter into the room, they realize this huge screw reaches the far side of the chasm, and it's closing the crack. The power of this engine is turning this screw to heal the mantle, to close the giant crack. They're just like, oh my God, the dwarves had engineering on this level? This is crazy. And they're like, okay, well, there's no one in the room, so no big deal. Let's go over there and make sure everything's working right, and maybe we can like save the day here. So they go over, and as they do, roll initiative, right? Of course you do. Then you're going to roll your D4. They're going to work their way in, begin to inspect. When your D4 expires, you have a character whose invisibility spell wears out. This little guy right here. So it's some kind of a hooded, mysterious Jawa type figure. And if we want to put him on a, he's not this big, but sure, why not? He's huge. So he appears somewhere. In our case, I just rolled for it. I don't know if you guys do this, but I roll, my left arm is 1 and my right arm is 6. And then I just roll a 1d6 and then I place, and that way it's random and I don't seem like a troll. So as this guy appeared, they're like, what the hell is this guy? And then they, in his hands, they saw he had like parts and pieces from this machine that he had torn out, and he was clearly sabotaging the damn thing. And they're like, screw this guy. You see what I did there? Nice. Okay, so they go over, they start attacking. He casts a spell and summons these little fire flimes. Where are my flimes? Here they are. So a flime is a flying slime, and these are fire flimes. So those appear. The characters start fighting them. Oh my God, he's summoning guys. This is crazy. And then they notice the engine is like off kilter. It starts going like a washer with a brick in it. And it starts going crazy. And I roll another D4 for when this freaking thing is going to like overload. So holy shit. Oh, we got to fight these things. We go over here. Maybe I can fix this. And like, okay, well, we're going to try. Hey, I killed one of the fire flimes. Okay, nice job. I'm fighting this guy. Whoa, he's got some weird stunts. He teleports. Whoop. Then he's over here. He's like, come and get me, bastards. And they just keep fighting. My D4 runs out. And then these two caves right here, if you can see these, emit this pyroclastic blast of hot exhaust, which vents the overload in the engine. Anybody in between these, it looks like 2 characters in this case, make a constitution check as they breathe all this crazy stuff in, and you do them a ton of damage. If you kill a person right here, you should, like this should be like 4d10 or so, like falling rocks, which can be up to 10d10 in my world. Anyway, boo, okay, well, I'm down. Hey, help me, get me back up. Okay, woo, let's kill this guy. All right, I stabbed him in the face. He's gone. I killed the last flame finally. Woo, okay, let's fix this thing. I don't know how. Okay, let's try it. Do. Shit, get out of the way. It's going to blow again. Okay, fix it. Okay, done. Now the thing's just running smoothly. Whew, I think we're done. But then the group looks around the room, and they're like, wait a minute. We have no way out of here. The portal has deactivated, and the engine is bound to overload again at any moment. And then just on the meta side, me as the DM, I'm like, yeah, actually, the next time it overloads, it might completely explode. And they're like, holy shit. So then they start searching the room, of course, because that's what you do when things are exploding. Oh, by the way, I also had the mage summon this rotating spike stick. So it spun around and did some damage. That was cool. Where? Okay, I've got 2 more pieces to reveal. Here we go. These little guys. Hello. So they start searching the room, and they find these 2 hidden dwarven like Tesla switches, or like magnet switches. You hold your fist in them and they activate. They activate both of them in a struggle. Everybody's barely alive, and the giant stone door opens up, reveals this huge vista out here of this grand chasm, the grand chasm, with this huge screw up here that's fixing the earth and closing up the crack. But they realize once that closes, we're screwed. There's no way out. So they all run over here. How are we going to get out of here? They start searching, and lo and behold, ye old awesome supplies card comes back into play. They find a set of supplies, and in it, a set of parachutes. Grab the parachutes, ride the hot updraft from the lava up out of the dungeon to safety. Now, with my particular group, the Jawa could not be killed in time, and he actually retrieved one of the parachutes and was like up here before someone made a crit success bow shot and basically killed him in his parachute with a roped bow, by the way. And then they used him as a kite and flew up out of there like a corpse parachute kite. And that is the end. So they pull up out onto the hot wind of the lava. They float up over the forest. The screw completes its cycle. The crack closes. And the goblin heroes land on the edge of the woods. And all of the goblins and coonkin and rabbits and deer all emerge from the forest and see, these are the heroes. The heroes of the crack. And this is where you bring the whole thing full circle. This is why the goblins were celebrating, because the strange circular nature of time in a game called Mokhtar. So they not only knew that the crack was going to come, but that heroes would arise to save the world again, as they do every year on the night of the crack. Yes. So there you go. That's it. That's your one shot. That's all the components you need. And I think the thing to take away here is, even are there some that you can cut? Can you make it even simpler if your group plays a more detailed game? If you play a fast game, you can get through 5 rooms in a night. If you play a more detailed game, you can only get through about 3 rooms in a night, depending. So can you use Night of the Crack in your group and to effect? Remember, a lot of the fun in Night of the Crack is just surprises. It doesn't have to be all about giant crits and huge slog, bullet sponge battles and all that stuff. Some of the biggest fun moments in Night of the Crack is just like, wait a minute, there are ridable dinosaurs? No one told me there were going to be ridable dinosaurs. I would have brought my rubber pants if they're going to be right. So just that surprise and that silliness and that fun and the pressure and it's like watching the second half of Die Hard. That's what makes a good one shot, because these guys are used to figuring out big story, plot twists, and intrigue. They're used to epic cataclysms and huge high-powered monsters, that take all kinds of wits and cleverness to outdo. But what they're not used to, probably, is a night like this where you're just ripping them through the content. You're just ripping them through there, man. You're slapping them on the butt in every room. Get out of this damn room. Just go. And that, to me, is what makes a really good one-shot that your players will remember, and it will let them also breathe a sigh of relief when they come back to your normal game a couple of weeks later, hopefully. Okay, so that's all I have for Night of the Crack. That was our Saturday night with a group of 4 players and me, and we had an absolute blast. It was actually one of my favorite sessions that I've had in a long time. It just had every component that I really looked for. It just had a lot of action. The players were really funny. No one really ever looked at their phone even once in the course of the whole adventure, and that to me is just like, that's DM master zone right there. Fuck yeah. So there you go. Whew. Okay, that is not easy to get through that fast. That takes a little bit of sort of DM Tourette's to get through all that. I'm going to lean back a little bit, see what you guys are saying. So what do you think? I mean, is that a usable night of gameplay? Is that handy? Does that help another adventure that you're working on? Maybe there are components there that you could plug into something else. Any questions? Who cares? Let's open this baby up. Do you have more spoilers on Mokhtar? I do. It is awesome. So next week for live, we are going to do a massive book review. It's going to include the Hacklopedia of Beasts, Shadowrun, all of Venger Satanis's books, Shadowrun 5th edition, by the way, and Savage Thule. So I've been putting in my reading time on all those, and we're going to talk about all that stuff. And basically going to take you on a little bit of the mental journey that I went on to arrive at the design of Mokhtar, which takes from Dungeon World, it draws from Mouse Guard, it draws from Shadowrun, and of course from D&D, and definitely from even GURPS in some ways. But it's built in a world that we've been working on for 5 years, a fictional sort of a lore world with monsters and with a story. And that to me has been the real key. Figuring out the mechanics is crucial. We had some terrible ones. We had one called Black Castle that was sort of a D20 derivative. Horrible, horrible game design. But, you know, you got to try. And then we did Burning Wheel, and then we did like a homebrew hack of Burning Wheel. And good Lord, that just went terribly awry. And then we wound up landing in 5th edition, and then we've been neck deep in 5th edition for a year. And then we were like, you know what, we need to come back. Maybe now we can do it. And so that's, again, another reason I did the novel is I wanted to get into bookmaking, you know, learn what it's all about, all the ins and outs, so that we could provide a really dope product. Another part of Mokhtar that I know everybody's going to love is we're doing custom dice, and we're doing them a lot like Mouse Guard. When I got Mouse Guard, I was just blown away by the awesome quality of that box set. And I also just, I think, made a personal vow to myself, like, I'm going to make something as cool as this. Like, that Mouse Guard box set is just baller. So anyways, that's all the spoiler I can provide for now. As far as timing and when we got a long way to go. The core book is massive, includes all its own monsters. And one great thing about our core book is that it includes a bunch of modules and adventures. And I hate how most core books don't do that. Like, they set you all up, but they don't give you the actual goods on what you could play right away. And we're going to come through on that. Really cool. So definitely look forward to Mokhtar. It's got some crazy storytelling in it. It's really fast, fun mechanics. It's a blast. I know you guys are going to love it, but we got a lot of work left to do. 50 is great, but I regret not learning Pathfinder. You know, hey, Ian, get that Humble Bundle of Pathfinder books. It's really just a matter of getting that core book and getting through that first, what is it, like 30, 20 page section. Pathfinder is such a refined product that just getting through that, sort of getting started, you know, what are the core functions of the game, really gives you everything you need. Pathfinder is brilliant. It's detailed, but it's simple to learn. It's D&D based. You'll be right there. It's great. It's not like learning Shadowrun or something where it can get a little weird on you. Yeah, it reminds me of Journey to Center of the Earth. Hell yeah, man. That's kind of one of the places I was drawing from. Hankerin art in the modules. Yeah, Joey Teskey. Everything in Mokhtar, all the art and a lot of the writing is all mine. And then Cyrus is helping me out with mechanical design and content design. So he's really like giving me the heavy hitting on, you know, this rule sucks. This is way overpowered. We need a monster that does this. There's kind of a hole in the game there. And then I do the art, do the writing, and we pull it together. We've been working every Friday together, putting in long, long hours on Fridays. And then we work all week on our own. And then we bring the work together on Fridays. So, man, it is a crazy, huge effort. And I can't wait to reveal more of it. But this is the way I'm going to reveal it to you guys, is the people that show up, the people that are interested. We're going to start talking about some of the details, and the questions and answers and responses will definitely shape the product itself. I mean, this thing is still forming. So you guys are definitely a vivid part of exactly how Mokhtar is created. A big part of it was seeing people's response to room design. Room design to me was kind of a joke at first, but I actually realized that there's a huge shortage on actual mechanical designs out there that you can easily take into your own game and implement. And I think that's when we really started thinking like, fuck yeah, let's make this baby. Cue spooky music. I dig your art, man. It's been getting me drawing more. Putting my piddly fine arts degree to somebody. Oh, that's great. Drew Wunderlich. That is awesome to hear, dude. I don't know how good my art is. I'm not sure. You know how it is being an artist. It's very challenging, but thanks. It means a lot. The number one thing you want to do when you're doing art is get other people to start getting those gears turning and doing their own crazy stuff and see what happens. That's a great feeling. Drop a box of crayons and table, let them draw the PCs. Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. That is fantastic. Crayon drawings of your own goblin character. I love that one, man. That's awesome. What happened to the dead PC? Yeah, he fell into the portal room from way above, and they retrieved his body and got him back going. So this is one of the hugest parts of Mokhtar that you guys are going to see in time, is how death works. It's brilliant. You retain your memories between characters. You're only dead when left behind, when someone calls flee. It's kind of like the death mechanic in Final Fantasy VII. So it just acknowledges meta knowledge and lets it be part of the story. Room design changed how all my dungeons work. Oh my gosh, Ken Napper. That's awesome. I mean, I hope it's for the better. All my dungeons are horrible ever since I saw your stupid YouTube channel. If you need a playtester, I have a crew. We might expand playtesting. We already have 3 groups going, and that is a mind melter. So draw off. Thank you for that offer. If we decide to expand when the product is ready and when we feel it's really stable and people will be able to sort of push its boundaries, definitely going to consider having maybe a night at the Let's Play Cafe here in Monroe. Maybe we'll do some public play testing where we can get some groups going and I can kind of cruise around and headbutt people. Going for color or black and white? Oh, you mean in the book, Joey? Oh my God. We're not even goofing around. Everything is full bleed, full color craziness. It's awesome. Again, I got to advise everybody, go get that Mouse Guard box set, man. If you got the dough, drop the dough, get that box set. It's so inspiring. Even if you're not going to play Mouse Guard, it's just such a fun vision of a world that's thorough and soft and emotional and just, hell yeah. A lot of the things, honestly, I think WotC misses in Dungeons & Dragons. Mouse Guard just nails it to the wall. Did they make shrine to the slow dead dino? Oh, did they make a shrine to the slow dead dino? Since it was a one-off, there was no time, Pilly Pow. There was no time, dude. But it didn't matter because, you know, in a big campaign, a lot of the emotion happens from one night to the next, right? People remember a thing and then something's given meaning and it rises and falls. But in a one-shot, if you seriously see that kind of, you know, tears in the eyes look on a couple of your players when they called him Iguana Don, when he fell down into that crack, the moment was complete. We needed no shrine. We needed no follow-up. There needed to be no further data on that NPC. But the moment was just totally self-contained and complete. And to me, that's the key to a one-shot, is you have to have a good sense of poetry. And that's also why I think it's fun to have a sort of a circular, it almost feels like an allegory or a fable, you know, or a fairy tale of like the Night of the Crack is both the theme at the very beginning and at the end. And it has that, and that gives you that one shot closure that feels like, damn, this is tight. You can't pull the same tricks that make your ongoing campaign work. It just won't have the guts. Got to think more like poetry rather than long fiction, if that makes sense. It's kind of a cheesy answer, but R.I.P. Dino. He lived well. He walked slow. I mean, I don't know. I think you guys saw I posted it on Facebook. I was so stoked about it, but like, it may seem silly. This is like 12 lines of Sharpie, but damn. I mean, you feel for this guy. You want to know how did he get to this point? Anyway. What he has that bad. Hey, well, Jason Coutinho, better late than never, my brother. Welcome to the channel, man. Welcome to the show. We got a little while left. We're just kind of kicking it here, drinking whiskey, and basking in the afterglow of the Night of the Crack. No longer will my players be tolerated to be murder hobos. Oh my gosh, wunderlich. That is the first vow, I think, of a brilliant DM. You know, don't let it be that way. Believe in old virtue. Believe in the old ways. Believe in Viking truths. Believe in whatever heritage you have and believe in, and bring those values into your D&D. Don't let your D&D be some kind of excuse to do the purge. You know, screw that. That kind of behavior is a warped indulgence that's not going to make anybody cooler. You want people to walk away from your game smarter, loving one another more, being more open. Hell yeah, man. Not being like, oh, that was funny, I tore that guy's face off. No, I'm not into it. So good luck. Good luck with that. That's a noble goal. It was God, Don Iguana Don. That is terrible. First step to ending murder hobo. First adventure, a part of the reward be a house that they have to pay taxes on. I disagree. I disagree. Do not punish them with the banal. Always reward them with the wondrous. So the banal will probably drive people to crime even more. But what you need to do is trust them with your NPCs and lean on them. And they're a source of hope. Either that or keep their needs to the absolute basics like survival. So the classic way to start a campaign is that they're prisoners in an unknown dungeon deep in the Underdark, undergoing horrible experiments. It's a classic way because you get to avoid all the sociological complexities of things like taxes, and it gives you a singular mindset. Okay, Rubisco Storm 1 says Shadowrun. Got to play the lifestyle bills. Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, Shadowrun is completely different. Talk about hurling yourself into sociological complexity. Good Lord. Don't even get me started. Yeah, love the street dog. Everything in Shadowrun's great, except, well, it's a bit of a spoiler for next week's live show, but the book craft on the new 5th edition book is not as good as the 2nd edition book. It's a bigger book that's harder to absorb with less cool drawings. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of giving away my review on the new Shadowrun book. Amazing, huge, deep book. And for Shadowrun loyalists, probably absolutely fantastic. But, well, we'll get there next week. Never allow your games to include taxes. I play games to escape the reality of taxes. I'm allergic to taxes. That's what you get for bringing up taxes. Playing games gives me a headache. I love the world. Oh my God, taxes. This is live. See, I can't edit out the sneezing. Ah, ye old Tullamore Dew. It's a fine, fine whiskey. I am an accountant. Oh, man. Well, we're starting to quiet down in the channel. I don't even know how many people are on there. Can somebody see that? How many people are hanging out? This is like 572 lumpy-headed weirdos in here. Why in D&D at level 20 do you become a demigod? Because they couldn't figure out what to do next. Cameron Whitlock asks. I've never had a campaign reach level 20 because it's ludicrous past 15. And it's not fun. It's not fun to do the prep for it. Oh, thanks, guys. Cool. We're in the 50s. That's awesome. Doing prep for 15 plus, 18 plus level characters is no fun. The bullet sponges are horrible. Also, just like the ways out, like everything that you set up, there's a way out because these players have everything. They can like just teleport back to their fortress and get their Vorpal blade of monkey slaying and come back and kill the monkey. It's just ridiculous. It's too far gone from what makes adventure, which is putting your backpack on and walking down a trail and you don't know what's down there. Like, yeah. So that whole demigod thing, I think, is a flaw in the fundamental design of Dungeons and Dragons. They want to lure you with math growth, like, you know, Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy or Skyrim, right? They want to lure you with this math growth. But when you start getting numb to the math growth and the enemies are growing with you, and you just start getting like, is this all you can conjure, Saruman? Come on. It's hard to set any good traps. Yeah, they have too many ways out, man. Jason says, I've never had a character over level 10 in 20 years of playing D&D. That makes a ton of sense, man. Level 10 really is a great place to just, as a DM, as a storyteller, and as a player, to wrap it up and think again. playing one character for more than a year and a half or 2 years, it's too much for one concept, I think. It's a great time to just go explore other parts of the game. Go play Dark Sun. The new Ruhammer book is awesome. It's like a roller coaster, and I'm just, oh, sweet. You mean Mud and Horn, Sword and Sparrow, Rubisco Storm. Thank you for buying a copy, man. That is awesome. Really appreciate that. God, that's great that you're enjoying it. That means everything to me. That book is a real labor of love. Just so you guys know, I have written about 5 other books over the course of 30 some years. Probably more than that, actually, if you count non-finished ones. Lots of books. And it takes a long time to get the writing skills pulled together. I tell you what, it is a difficult discipline. But all those books I just chucked. I could not face the world with those books. But this one I'm very proud of. I think it's a really fun read, a big kind of rollicking epic adventure. I think everybody's going to really enjoy it. There's my shameless plug. Totally buy the book. You're just going to love the book. I don't care if I'm plugging myself. It's a dope book. Get it on Kindle for $5. Can't beat $5. I cap them at level 5 and make them work for it. Cameron Whitlock. Hell yeah. That is awesome. That's just a great, we're capping at 5 and then we're just going to play forever at level 5. That's a great way to do it. Going to put my order in as soon as I leave the chapter. Awesome. My major campaign ended with PCs level 10 become barons of their own baronies with the empowered jet scenario. Ooh, that's great. Way back in 2nd edition days, we did a huge campaign with Karamakos. If you want to do some crazy digging, look up 2nd edition and the whole world of D&D, and there's this sort of region called Karamakos with a city and the barons. Anyways, we wound up in a Tiamat type situation, and the same thing happened. They wound up basically ruling that whole zone and doing so for like 10 years each. That was the end of the campaign. It's like, oh, it just ruled the kingdom for 90 years of peace. You need an audiobook. Yes, Jason, I am doing an audiobook. That's part of the reason I got the cool microphone. And the audiobook will be available, I think, probably as premium content here on the channel. Also going to experiment with podcasts. I don't know. Do you guys think podcasts are cool? I have no idea what's going on in podcasts. This to me is just a video podcast, so I don't know what the hell podcasts are all about. I have no idea where to publish podcasts or what makes a good. I don't know how to even begin. Yeah, when a house cat can kill your wizard. Oh man, yeah. 1st to 3rd level. Todd Irvine. Hey, thanks for posting, man. 1st to 3rd level is also, I think 1st is a little thin on things to do, but 3rd is absolutely the shiznat. If you ask me, D&D is designed for 3rd to 5th level, and the rest is poorly planned to make it seem like a bigger game than it really is. But hey, there you go. So, yo, WotC guys, prove me wrong. I would call this a video podcast, all things considered. Yeah, I hope you guys like the format, because I'm thinking about just going to a weekly live show just like this. With working on Mokhtar and working on the 2nd novel is already underway, and getting Daring and Doom shipped to everybody, and DMing for 3 groups now, and working a job like a normal friggin' person, I'm a little at the limit. So like editing time and shooting time has definitely been cut down, and it's honestly kind of more fun to just sort of kick it live. It's kind of cool. We can get a little deeper into one concept and then sort of kick back together and just let the whiskey roll and kind of just chat. I think it's kind of awesome. The format's great. Weekly thing would be really cool. Well, then Tuesday night it is I Spliced. Welcome back, by the way, dude. Good to see you in there. Keep doing the live Bluetooth show. Okay, Tully Pinkerton, will do. Yeah, I like the live shows too, how it bounces around. I agree. It's not just like, here's a 5-minute video. Honestly, when I post 15-minute videos too, people on average watch like 5 minutes of it. So I don't think you get quite the grip that the live shows get. So remember, we're not always going to be doing room designs. Next week, we're going to do a huge book review. And then after that, we're going to hook the Cintiq up so that you can get a direct feed on my screen instead of, a camera filming the Cintiq, because that's not cool. We're going to do it like Draw with Jazza, if you guys know that channel. I actually hit him up and he got back to me. He hooked me up with some software that I can use to directly transmit my Cintiq to you guys. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to plan the Rangers of Numidia campaign out. And we're just going to do that right there on the Cintiq, and you get to see it right there in high res. It's going to be great. You watched my entire video library in a week. Good Lord, that's like more than a year of work. I probably was a fun week, though, I guess, if you don't mind my yammering. Okay, like to see, here we go. Joey Teskey really cut into some material here. The very basic is getting started, but it's not called the live shit is cool. You know what, Joey, why don't we do a live show that it's just for the newcomer to D&D? That way, all the chat channel questions can drive areas that you're struggling with, and I can do that kind of opening 45 minutes of trying to lay it down for you, you know, what can help get started and get started smooth. You know, everybody should do it their own way. Have fun your own way, fuck it up your own way, but you could definitely benefit from people who've been doing it for ages. So let's do that. Let's do one of those, and we'll do it in a couple weeks, and then we'll just open up the second half for just a bunch of questions. Like, I'm new and I'm having trouble with this. I'm new and my group hates me and whatever. Everyone got too drunk, and then I couldn't find Bob, and Bob was in the bushes. You know, whatever different problems you're confronting. So Joey Tasky, thank you very much for the recommendation. Let's put it on the docket. Consider it done. I'll start working on the notes for that, and we will get you what you need to make your group psyched. Let's get some swords up in this bad boy. Live show is awesome, but don't ditch room design, John Reeves says. Yeah, room design is a little more detailed, right, when it's an edited video. Even though I gave you several rooms tonight, it's hard to beat the detail you can really get into and the humor with the editing. The editing can make you seem a lot funnier than you really are. So it's all about just when time will allow. You got to realize, if I could only do this full time, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, I could probably do double the content. So the edited content as well as the live content, as well as making game product. It's just I have not quite figured it out. I need a really big Kickstarter or some kind of crazy cataclysm of the American financial system to where I could do this full time. And then I could really get into it. But mark my words, that is my goal. Hankerin ditch room design. Yeah, that won't happen. Room design is the bread that I make on the grindstone of my soul, with the millet of my breath and the millet of my, it's a grain. It's a grain that goes into bread. The yeast of my motivation. Oh God, that sounds horrible. More key mechanics. That's the most impactful stuff for me. Oh man, Pilly Pal sounding off. There's definitely a big difference between room design and key mechanics. Room design basically assumes you got key mechanics mastered. So, hey, here's a good chance while I got you on the line, Pilly. What is the biggest key mechanic that's kicking your butt in your group that you're having the hardest time with? Like the knot, the burr in your saddle in your D&D group that you want to get solved. Like we're making a to-do list right now. Should get that checked out. You're breathing out grains. Yes. I am coughing up the millets. So yeah, black magic. Give me a key mechanic, and we'll do we'll do a live show on it. Oh God, you gotta love that Tullamore Dew. Tastes just like a whiskey or two. Tastes like peat and tastes like moss. After a glass, you might have to floss. Tullamore Dew. Well, I think I scared Pilly Pow away. Either that or he's typing like 3 paragraphs. The first key mechanic would be the second key mechanic would be the... Man, this Renaissance Fair hairdo is just getting absolutely terrible. I think I need to shave or something. Drinking and dragoning. Oh man, we tried that. We tried the make heal pots and take shots for damage bonuses and stuff. and we almost died. It's completely out of control. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I was going to make dragon's blood for you guys tonight. I got the habaneros in the fridge. You just take 4 habaneros, slice each one in half, and stuff them in a bottle of like high-grade vodka, like Finnish vodka, like flavorless vodka. Wait about 3 weeks, and you've got some super hot, kick-ass, spicy vodka on your hands. Oh, man, I love Jameson, but I got to say Tullamore Dew is a smoother whiskey. Here we go. For it's not a specific game mechanic, rather how the gameplay physically functions. How do you handle physically playing the game in such a way that keeps rolls and stuff interesting? Oh, man. I can answer it right now, but Pilly Pal, let's set that up as a show. So it's kind of like, how do you physically have the game board happening in a way that the rolls are exciting? Because you don't want to make attack rolls over and over and over, and then damage rolls, and then and then perception, and then attack roll. And I think that's probably what you're describing, right? Is like the actual moment-to-moment minutia. How do you keep it da-da-da-da-da-da? Table mechanics, yeah. Well, I mean, if you guys haven't looked at Black Magic's channel, you need to go right freaking now and watch all of his videos. Now, he's a lot more meticulous with his videos, so he has fewer than I do, but his crafting quality is just redonkulous and beyond anything that I could ever do. It's fantastic. Well, I'm not going to say that. Not ever. It's really good. Anyways, he makes a great point, because even though his craft is absolutely impeccable in its quality, still kind of asking some of these real roots questions, like how do you keep the rolls fluid and keep stuff moving? Man, that's a great question. That really is the root question of playing D&D like a big old grown-ass man to me, is that the minute the game bogs down, it's over. People are checking their phones, and like you're out of the moment, and it's toast. On the one hand, there's a lot. We can do a whole show on how to keep it rolling. And, you can use a lot of the stuff I've already talked about timers and stuff, but that doesn't really answer what you're asking. On the other hand, that is why we made Mokhtar, man. Mokhtar is a fast-moving, super fun game with no derivative math in it. And it has a lot more depth than Dungeon World, which just honestly, after all that research and all that playtesting, wound up leaving me really flat. It just wasn't enough to roll 2d6. Their monsters are not well designed. The improvisation of the rules and the sort of starters and the dependency on reading, because there's all this creative writing involved in Dungeon World, which is amazing, just became taxing. So the source material for Dungeon World is still really fun, but they just over streamlined it. And so how do you not over streamline to where you're just like, durr, but you don't bookify the game, like probably what Black Magic is describing? Sometimes you get that bookification, and just the momentum just drops through the floor. Use a sand timer and the suspense dice. Yeah, no doubt. Okay, I think that's about it, guys. I'm gonna have to cut it off. That was an awesome session, super fun, and I think this is how we're gonna start doing it. And when time allows, we'll make some of the sillier videos on Sunday, like I love doing. But next week we'll do the big book review. The following week we're going to do D&D for beginners, and after that we're going to do Fluid. That's the name of that show for Pilly Pal over there. Yeah. I agree with Draw-Off big time, is that less rolls is better and more suspense on every roll. And for a starting DM, you're going to need more tables and context probably, because you don't have this huge sort of catalog of things that have happened and ideas. But the more you play, the more you can give gravity to every turn. And I think this is really the way to think about the game, is in turns, not in rolls. So a person's turn is the matter of describing, rolling, and reacting every time. What are you doing? Got it? Roll for it. This happens. What are you doing? Roll. This happens. What are you doing? And you gotta keep that shit rolling, and that's where like Red Bull comes into play. Okay, I think that's about it for me, guys. I am out of here. Tully Pinkerton, Scott Hill, Black Magic, La Maître de Jus. I'll see you around, man. Guy, Bob, stay in the pursuit. All you guys, keep DMing. Good luck this weekend if you got a game group and all that good shit. Strength, honor, and Tullamore Dew for tonight. Wunderlich, thanks for hollering. Bung Wires, everybody, great to have you guys around. Have a good week. Have a cool weekend. We got some electrical work going in this weekend. We're going to overhaul the house. And spoiler, we're setting up the ultimate D&D lighting system. So pro electrician coming in to do this shit. That's how cool it's going to get. I'm going to end on that spoiler. Peace out. Rabisco Storm and Ian and Paul Redmond. Oh, Paul, you're late, bro. It's okay. It all goes in the archive. Great having you guys. I'm on Amarth. Strength, honor, Tullamore Dew. Mind controlling orange orb. Okay, now here's how it goes down. We're going to call out to our ancestors. And they're going to cut off the stream. Odin's son, take me away.